Now, about Drake and Kendrick. Okay, Lamar. You're prepared to witness Drake's recent exposure for not just putting together a disastrous tour that nobody wants to go to, but because of a series of many performances in which he takes the stage each night, and he is completely defrauding his admirers to the point that he doesn't even be familiar with lyrics. Make sure to subscribe and give it a like. Now, in fact, like Kendrick Lamar just succeeded in leveling up on his tour concurrently with the Iceman, now turned away from the garbage man to the con artist. Be careful to adhere to it due to the fact that you're not going to wish to overlook what's going to occur next with the largest victor in hip-hop. Next up is the greatest loss. What I'll say in hip-hop before now is the time for Drake's supporters to jump into this. Don't want to tell you tales like this? And they've gotten more obnoxious, more so than before, preferring to just sit there and act as though the imitation Drake's rendition of One Dance, which was released, is truly successful, and then have to defend their preferred 40-year-old. Of course, the guy whose photo features nearly the whole Stranger Things cast. Pay attention. All I can say is just be careful. Before we continue, please leave a like into this, since the assistance goes a long distance. Having stated that, in this never-ending cycle of victories and defeats from Karen of Rap and the King of Rap, it appears as though now with each and every performance that is released from Drake, and each time we are viewing some of the less noteworthy programs for your excursion. Really, whatever they are attempting to persuade us regarding Drake's performances and the visuals, they're attempting to make it appear that Drake and his group are really amazing, inept and ill-prepared, that just by showcasing further footage of this, we can see how awful the OVO karaoke is. Circuses are genuine nowadays, and now inside this circus over all of our other options. Been observing lately. As of right now, what has never seemed more accurate than that. This has nothing to do with a tour. However, this Drake Live experience is a festival of karaoke to the worst degree you've ever anticipated. Furthermore, even if this was originally something of a joke, they are now the Drake devotees will participate in karaoke to cover for him and join in on his recorded vocals. But in reality, between Drake genuinely forcing you to perform the work at the event, the presenters additionally carrying out the task, and now what has just been made public, what we are currently witnessing is Drake is operating what may be the largest all-time grift with these items, as Drake has now come out as having done karaoke himself, suddenly finds oneself in a new for you. A video from some dull show's tour during Drake's third performance of the greatest song you listened to on SSS. When I initially listened to the record, I made a promise to never hear it again, so everyone, I am aware that the garbage is attempting to track that, which in my opinion has yay on it. This is what you can see for when Drake isn't running up and down the stage, causing the audience to do anything. He's genuinely making an effort to act vocally in some capacity. Himself is the sole explanation for why it appears like when he's on one, he talks more on one side of the stage in contrast to the opposite, due to the fact that he has a teleprompter providing the right phrases to say to him. Additionally, to be honest, whenever you see Drake videos throughout this excursion, you just observe how he's moving awkwardly all the time, and you observe how rigid and lifeless it is. Always appears to have a stuck face in a specific direction, okay? So I suppose that these stranger things are beginning to have some sort of meaning. Furthermore, what we're learning is that dreary old now that Lubri has been apprehended and exposed for really participating in karaoke on his own performances. He's attempting to attend out on stage and eventually demonstrate that he is able to rival Kendrick Lamar in any fantastic rap at the moment, and that he is a superior traveling performer. And at this very moment, when we enter Drake and do this, I'll declare that Drake is not even near. No artist ever did this before, and Lil Wayne has even said this. He has done it himself. Additionally, as someone who has toured and seen a lot of places of performances I never would have attended if not. Pay attention to your generational performers who visit the city. such as Tyler the Rapper and Kendrick Lamar's creators, or perhaps the greatest of all, time. Among such kinds of musicians, there are several additional indolent behaviors that just read off machines and call stuff in. Sincerely, this is what you observe. When you listen to the song more closely, is it ultimately the case that many of these artists don't write at all, or even feel any kind of connection to their tunes? But they genuinely only turn into mascots that are acting anything from which they are reading essentially. And once more, there are a lot of people in the music business, and they're just straight jerks, who are obviously acting in their current capacity, not for enthusiasm, but because it's a job. And once more, whenever you see someone like Kendrick Lamar simply enter and rap the way he does. And once more, I will draw attention to this only for comparison's sake. For instance, when Drake reads off lyrics and permits crowds and speakers Toto cover for him, well, pay attention. The audience may find Kendrick Lamar amusing. In fact, Kendrick creates his concerts for the masses to interact at the appropriate times, after which he will rap at the right points. Which explains why the throng will appear as follows for familial relationships. However, afterwards, everyone at Man in the Garden is sitting there with the knowledge that they are observing one of the best skills they will ever see you simply perform. Anything that is very amazing. Additionally, even during Kendrick Lamar's raps, he occasionally alters his inflections, or patterns of flow, or inhale in a new location, or alter the words in the end. This just demonstrates how he has a rap encyclopedia in his head that ultimately, even if it might not execute the poetry in its entirety as penned and captured, comprehends the real sentiment and can play around with the location, which demonstrates how excellent of an MC he is. Additionally, even with other rappers, I've seen things that are timeless, like Action, Earl Sweatshirt, Nas, Common, J. Cole, Bronson, and several other excellent lyricists. Once more, when you observe actual MCs, they all possess this something that simply abandons you, seeing them with wonder. Furthermore, when we now consider touring, whether we consider Tyler the Creator or Kendrick, who are the two finest live performers, encounters occurring in hip-hop with the tours of the Grand National and Chromacopia. Well, pay attention. You can see that these individuals don't depend on any kind of tricks and are constantly so involved due to the fact that they truly understand their lyrics and have sufficient interest in the music. They simply give excellent, heartfelt performances. And once more, in contrast to Drake, this is not a position for them. Something like this is really large. Additionally, you simply see how Drake's presentations are sloppy, and then check in with Tyler and Kendrick from the effects to the set design, to the tale, to the presentation, to the films, as well as anything else that is ever a one. Once more, though, as you gaze in with this and attend performances by Kendrick and Tyler operating practically like a Broadway play in terms of the number of components that are occurring directly in time with the music. However, if you contrast this with Drake, the rap industry's gold standard, who is involved in creating a song with a lyric machine that when he was discharged in February, we recognize the reasons behind some rappers' success locations and the reasons behind others' weirder actions. And in fact, just now when you just see this and know that whatever else you wish to express, this does confirm and substantiate that Drake is among the most indolent entertainers outside. Because once more, when these machines are often utilized, it's for older music that musicians could have forgotten, just providing them with not a song, but the benefit of the doubt, which they made available in February. Pay attention. It is hardly surprising that Drake is attempting to make use of another grift to keep these programs going. However, in reality, the most perplexing aspect of this whole situation is that it's now shown in this moment when all that has been occurring with Drake's back to the Kendrick Lamar and Wall are on a tour that surpasses all he has ever accomplished throughout his professional life. Nevertheless, despite all, no sense of urgency was present. Perhaps a small amount of anxiety to be ready for anything larger that could have the Grand National Tour was a competitor. and Drake simply wanted to grift instead. Returning to the forefront of rap, which naturally, although it hasn't made an effort to think that this was likely to be your route back, think you could have simply escaped with a naked minimal. Once more, this is another demonstration of how Drake's indolence is merely keeping rap in such a negative environment. As of right now, Drake was formerly regarded as the focal point of the tours, and the genre was the most anticipated live event. You see, therefore, why the Drake period became as awful as it was. Thus, we are staring at Drake and giggling. Tours, where things are becoming more bizarre by the second, and he is losing his memory. People are hurling objects at Lyric, and everything appears to be a complete disaster. Given that Drake still, of course, has canceled performances since he could have too many performances that no one can attend or desires to attend. Well, when you simply observe the disarray of not a few exceptional shows. See everything Kendrick Lamar has to offer throughout your tour. Is performing not merely already solidified, but observe his plans to take action soon, depending on what he just got out, okay? So when we observe what Kendrick Lamar is about to do, take action to end the year and end the last Grand National tour was exactly where Drake canceled the victory tour of Anita Max in Australia. This is actually where the humor starts, because now Kendrick Lamar has made more than one solo booking. Shows at first as SZA won't be on that portion of the trip, which independently demonstrates that this has always been Kendrick's tour for those people who continue to maintain that it hasn't. However, currently, even without SZA, Kendrick didn't just sell out these performances on his own with ease and then schedule further performances due to the high level of demand. However, in just a few days, Kendrick will be planning to perform in 4 stadiums there, which is actually what we need to get. It's funny that there is nearly as much arena. Demonstrates that Drake was able to flee. However, in reality, in addition to having these performances, Kendrick is inviting a group of people to have a lot of enjoyment. And to conclude this section of his career, since he is contributing some significant during these days, on some evenings it will not be anybody else but Schoolboy Q, which we have discussed. And there could even be a situation between Black and its hippie there. But balancing larger and displaying the complete plan that TDE possesses, which is undoubtedly something large. Okay, so Kendrick will now have having fun with him. Doi has been going viral because it's significant of possessing someone who has already demonstrated great potential as an artist, and the performer's action is so significant early in their professional lives. And now, really, as Doji prepares to play stadiums with the real Kendrick Lamar. Truly going beyond Kendrick's appearance and sort of mocking Drake by making more reservations, more performances than ever in the location where Drake fled and did it in the process. Even larger locations to observe where Doechii is doing and where Kendrick is going to be with him. This will be amazing. Additionally, I'm certain for Doi, whilst there were several unfavorable conversations surrounding her following a fantastic year initially, all these discussions about industrial plans came up after all. Yes, I do believe that when Doi is standing by Kendrick Lamar, perhaps we will in the future observe their actions in terms of cooperation shortly. As Kendrick dubbed her the game's most difficult MC, in general, Kendrick is mostly concerned with demonstrating what the upcoming rap sensation will resemble. Additionally, with all of leaving in some extremely exciting times right now. A rap in which Doechii and Kendrick Lamar, as well as Schoolboy Q, will be on the path together. Furthermore, Doi is where will I obtain that TDE stamp? Everyone will be aware that she is collaborating directly with the top rapper in the game at the moment. And now, in fact, the thing that I find so wonderful about this is Kendrick Lamar is currently utilizing this tour. It's the platform he uses to showcase artists like this in Doi and truly construct anything that's far larger than himself while still winning. That demonstrates his kingly status. This is enormous, and here's how you create a rap empire. Additionally, in contrast, Drake does these karaoke evenings when he is unable to recall the song lyrics that were intended to be the album's major hits. I believed all in all, this is just getting sad. I feel sorry for Karen, and I'm proud of that. The opposite of hip-hop. And as of right now, since Drake's performances now continue to worsen, and Kendrick simply continues rising steadily, what I believe we will witness is that this whole fleet of vehicles that Drake has been attempting to persuade us that he constructed correctly is finally going to collapse. And we will all see the falsehoods one day. Additionally, simultaneously with Kendrick Strawley approaching the construction of this dynasty of music to the extent that he truly desires and the extent to which it is capable. Additionally, he is placing everyone in this in TDE and PG Lang, and they're all cooperating. Furthermore, it is evident that there is just a larger factor at work here. In light of everything, I believe another genre is about to emerge. Moment of change that will occur everywhere with Baby Keem, Schoolboy Q, Doy, and Kendrick when he chooses to come back. And everything these individuals. And in this moment, all I sense Kendrick is leveling up, I'll say. And just making fun of Drake while getting dressed, rap's live performance history. Now, listen, everybody who has ever chosen to oppose Kendrick Lamar, once more, please be sure to read your song lyrics prior to your tour. Thus, presently having stated that, please let me know. What do you make of all that is happening with Kendrick and Drake at the moment? How do you think Drake is being pathetic? Does not understand all of the lyrics to the songs that he's playing with the he's already done terrible karaoke? Additionally, how do you feel about Kendrick? Lamar is currently growing his tour, adding Doji to the list, along with all the others. Continuing with him. I am now eager to listen to your thoughts on everything. Now, if you've reached this stage, make sure to give a like in the video and sign up. It's really helpful to me. Now, if you like to see how correct prior to this, well, pay attention. Something significant coincided with Metro Booming's discussing how GNX by Kendrick Lamar has altered the rap scene. Additionally, at Drake, however, I just had the worst. He's a complete failure, okay? Take a look at the recommended video.